Hello again. Now, the court battle between former President Jacob Zuma and his successor, Matamela Ramaphosa, is far from over. Zuma has missed the deadline to file an answering affidavit in President Ramaphosa's urgent interdict to stop Zuma's private prosecution attempt against him. Zuma is accusing Ramaphosa of being an accessory after the fact in the leaking of confidential medical document to the media. Now, legal analyst Nthabiseng Dubazana is joining us now for more, just to clarify exactly what does this all mean now in this matter of the private prosecution between Zuma and Ramaphosa. Nthabiseng, good afternoon. Welcome to today, and thank you very much for your time this hour. Just to get a sense, I mean, there's a private prosecution matter that's been brought against President Ramaphosa. He's supposed, according to what we saw earlier in December, to be appearing in court on a particular date this month, but he's now applied for an urgent interdict to stop that. And then there was a need, I guess, for the Zuma's legal team to submit their own affidavit in terms of the president's application, but they've missed the deadline. So what does this all mean?
Essentially, what it means is that the court can now view Nede Ramaphosa's application to stop, the urgent application to stop the criminal matter from proceeding, as being an unopposed matter before the court. It doesn't mean the matter will stop or it will not be heard. It will most likely be heard on an unopposed basis. And therefore, if there's nothing coming from Nede Zuma's legal team to oppose whatever has been said in Nede Ramaphosa's papers, then it therefore means that the court will then eventually just grant the order or the request in terms of the notice of motion of the Ramaphosa's team. But that doesn't actually prevent Nede Zuma from submitting his replying affidavit at some stage. And if he does that prior to the date of the court may then consider the matter to now officially be opposed after all.
So the fact that Zuma's legal team may have missed the deadline this time does not put an end to this process?
No, it doesn't at all. It will be to their detriment in a manner of speaking, because some presiding officers don't take kindly to you missing the deadlines without giving an explanation as to why. So perhaps the legal team in the Zuma would have to now explain to the court why it is that they could not file on time and explain. And if the court accepts that explanation, then the matter will proceed on an opposed basis. And if the court does not accept it, then the court may likely request that they resubmit, or the matter will proceed as if it is unopposed. It will depend on the presiding officer's attitude to what the papers, to the time in which the papers would have been filed.
Yeah, obviously President Ramaphosa is interdicting this matter very urgently because he wants to avoid a date in court. So what kind of reasons, from your experience, that a presiding officer, what kind of reasons a presiding officer would find acceptable? I'm asking this in Nthabiseng against the background of a report I saw. I have not been able to verify it, but saying that from Zuma's camp, apparently they've missed the deadline because they were spending time with their families over the festive season.
No, that kind of excuse may not be really granted by the court, or rather accepted, I beg your pardon, by the courts, because all of us are coming from holidays and there was recess. Perhaps we could use the argument of recess, because court was in recess, actually still is, from the 5th of December up until the 16th of January. So we could use that reason, but this is an urgent application, and recess times does not exactly affect the issues of urgent application, hence the term urgent. So I don't think the court will accept such a reason. We'll hope that the papers that are actually going to be filed will give a really good reason why the papers were filed late, and not such an excuse, because the courts most likely will not accept something like that.
Yeah, and this kind of private prosecution, I mean, what would be its key difference from a normal prosecution?
Only difference is that the state in this matter is a private person, whereas other than that, the criminal procedure will apply the same way it would in a normal case with the NPA, when it's the state versus Nthabiseng, for example. It really doesn't change anything in terms of the process of the hearing itself. It just continues as normal. The only difference, like I said, would be that the prosecution this time is not there. It is Nthabiseng versus Ndate Moyane, and then we go on in that trajectory.
Yeah, finally, Nthabiseng, I don't mean to put you on the spot. I don't think you might have seen all these submissions by the president, his affidavit, the urgent interdict. But chances of succeeding in a matter like this, I'm asking this because the JGZ Foundation, Zuma Foundation last year, saying very confidently that no, we will see the president in court come this date in January.
I did see a bit of the notice of motion and the founding affidavit. And part of the reasons that were said there were that the prosecution or the private prosecution is unconstitutional. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I don't even want to lie about the section that was quoted there. But what I read of that section, for me, it doesn't make sense why it would have been used as a reason why the private prosecution should not proceed. So it was basically on the grounds of unconstitutionality. It was also on the grounds that it is wrong in law, and also on the grounds that the nolle prosequi certificate did not specifically say that it should be going against the Ramaphosa, and also that the information within the docket did not have any bearing on the Ramaphosa in himself. It came after the fact. So these are the things that the Zuma's team would have to answer to. But these first three that I mentioned, I don't see how they would succeed on that one. Because the nolle prosequi, in fact, the first two, the nolle prosequi as well as the docket content, apparently they say that they have that information correctly. We would see what the replying says. But on these other two, I don't see if they'll be successful there.